Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make homemade chili. First I add the ground beef to the pan to cook. I use 93% lean ground beef. I bought a 2-pound pack of ground beef so I can make chili and lasagna, so I'm only putting in half of this for a total of 1 pound of ground beef for the chili. I break up the ground beef with a spatula and cook this on medium heat. While the ground beef is cooking, I prepare my fresh vegetables. I'm going to dice half of a medium-sized yellow onion to put into the chili. I like to use the yellow onion because of how it cooks down and also the flavor that it gives the chili. The yellow onion overall is my favorite onion to cook with. To dice this onion, I slice into it long ways, making sure not to take the knife all the way to the back of the onion so that all the pieces are connected. Then I'm going to put 2 horizontal slices into the onion and then chop everything off from the front. After I have the onion diced, I also prepare a bell pepper and celery. I don't put celery into the chili every time. If I have celery left over from a different recipe I was making, I'll add it just because I don't want it to go to waste. I think it adds a nice texture to the chili, but honestly I can't really tell a difference in taste between when I have celery in the chili and when I don't. I'll add about 3 stalks worth of celery to the chili. Once the ground beef is cooked, I drain it and leave some of the fat back in the pan. You want to be careful not to overcook the ground beef because we will still be continuing to cook the ground beef when we have the rest of the ingredients for the chili combined. Once the ground beef is out of the pan, add in 1 tablespoon of butter. Let that melt and heat up, and then add in the diced onion. I stir the onion in with the butter and let that cook for 2 or 3 minutes before adding in the diced garlic. I add in about 5 cloves worth of diced garlic. I stir the diced garlic in with the butter and onions, and after that's cooked for about a minute, then I add in the diced peppers and the diced celery. Again, I stir everything together and let this all cook down for an additional 2 to 3 minutes. Once those are cooked down, I add in 2.5 tablespoons of tomato paste. I like a really strong tomato flavor in my chili, which is why I use so much of the tomato paste, but if you don't like as strong of a tomato flavor, you can decrease this. I do like to make sure that the tomato paste is really well mixed into the vegetables before I add any additional ingredients because I don't want there to be clumps of tomato paste in the chili. So I take extra time to mix this in well before adding in the ground beef. Once it looks good, then I add in the ground beef. After the ground beef is in, I add in the first can of the diced tomatoes. I like to build the chili up in layers, so after the first can of diced tomatoes, I'll add in all my seasonings. Then I'll continue with the additional liquids in the beans after. For the seasonings, I add in 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of celery salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, and some fresh cracked black pepper. Then I mix all of the seasonings in with the ingredients in the pan. Next, I add in 1 can of pinto beans in a chili sauce, and then 1 can of black beans. Because the pinto beans are in a chili sauce, I'm adding everything from that can into the pot, but the black beans I will rinse first because they're not in a sauce, and I don't like the taste of all the liquid that comes with the black beans. You could substitute other beans here. These are 2 of our favorites, but kidney beans or other types of beans work fine. Then I add in the second can of diced tomatoes and 1 cup of chicken stock. We like a really thick chili, but if you don't like your chili as thick, you could add in a can of tomato sauce or more chicken stock. I've kept the heat at medium this whole time, so I'm stirring regularly as I add ingredients to make sure anything on the bottom of the pan isn't burning. All the ingredients are added in now, so I drop the heat down to low and I cover this and let it simmer anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple hours. The longer you let this simmer, the more the flavors are going to mesh together and incorporate, and it will taste much better. I let this pot set for about 2 hours. During this time, the diced tomatoes will cook down more and create more liquid in the chili. So if you're thinking that your chili is a little too thick,
You can always wait until you have it cooked down a little bit more and then add more chicken stock or tomato sauce later on. But you don't want to add too much liquid at the front and then have a really watery chili when it's time to eat it.
Here's my chili after it's been sitting for about 2 hours on low heat. You can see how much the tomatoes and other ingredients in the chili reduced down. The overall level in the pot is also lower because my husband did get into it before I got back to it. Now I scoop some of the chili out for myself and top it with my favorite ingredients. You can eat the chili plain, but I like to add a little bit of shredded cheese and Fritos. Thanks for watching this video on how to make homemade chili. Let me know how it worked out for you in the comments below, and as always, like and subscribe to see more content.